Welcome back, everyone, to Life Without Limits, where there are no limits to what you can achieve. Today is part 3 of Women in Weight Loss, and Janet Hemning is my guest. She is a gem. I asked Janet to talk about how to make it through the holidays because here they come. So this podcast will be in my podcast library for all of eternity, but because we are recording in November before Thanksgiving, I think it is very timely to talk about how to control food cravings and binging and everything and stress, bingo, around the holidays. Janet, thank you for being here. And what would you recommend? Emotional freedom techniques. How do people get through the holidays?
Oh, Joe, the holidays, like as I mentioned, they're a struggle. They're a struggle, and I don't think anybody. I think the holidays are very stressful for everybody, and I don't care who you are. Between the finances and the too much family, not enough family, just a lot that goes on. It's moms trying to be the perfect moms, dads trying to be the perfect dads, and trying to get everything done for everybody, have the perfect meal on the table, all the stress that goes with the holidays. So, I think one of the big things, like with Thanksgiving coming up in America next week, I'm already working with these women on, okay, is there a plan for the Thanksgiving weekend, with your food and so we've been working on this with my clients. And the one thing you have to remember when you're with EFT, the EFT tapping, you go through these points through from the waist on up. You can do this silently and where nobody even knows you're doing it. So, I recommend tapping on yourself before you go to the event where a lot of food is going to be. Prepare your belief system and your emotions before you get there. So, it's like the day before or the morning of, you're going to the families for the big Thanksgiving spread of food, because for some reason we were raised with the fact you got to have the more food, the better. So you tap, even though I'm going to this Thanksgiving dinner and I know there's going to be a ton of food and I'm going to be so tempted, I accept myself anyway, because this is who I am and I know it's going to be a temptation. And, you tap through this before you go. But when you're there and all of a sudden you start feeling maybe a little tempted to overeat, or, there's just so much good stuff, appetizers and cocktails, and you can tap on these finger points or squeeze your finger points underneath the table and just think about what's coming up, like, oh my gosh, I don't want to give that up. Everybody else is having a glass of wine with dinner, and I know I already had my cocktail before dinner, but I'd really like to have another glass of wine, with dinner, because I don't want people to say, well, how come you're not having a drink?
Mm-hmm.
We start worrying about judgment, and we start worrying about what other people are thinking. And so you can just squeeze lightly your fingertips under the table while you're just thinking about what's upsetting you already. That might make you cave in. And it's okay to cave in, and always remember that. But then what we tend to do, especially as women, when we're trying to control our weight and how much we eat, we beat ourselves up for 5 days afterwards.
Oh, geez. Yes.
And then we throw the guilt on us. I overate at Thanksgiving and I shouldn't have done that. And then it's like, well, forget it. I'm just not going to worry about it through the holidays. I'm just going to eat whatever I want. And that's how the cycle begins.
Okay.
And so through the holidays, through Thanksgiving and Christmas, if you feel very stressed about, oh my gosh, I got to see so much family. And I hate when Uncle Bertie comes by me and gives me a little squeeze on the arm. And, my whole family's had too much to drink, or, whatever the stress is that comes about.
Mm-hmm.
Before you go, prepare yourself. Even though I'm already stressed because this is just another one of those family outings. And who knows what fight is going to blow out. And, whatever the situation is, even though I'm stressed or even though I'm nervous about going to this big Thanksgiving dinner because I know there's going to be a ton of food and I'm really trying so hard to not overeat at the holidays, and it's stressing me out, it's making me nervous, or whatever the emotion is.
Yes.
And then but always say you accept yourself anyway for feeling this way, and then you tap through the points on what emotion is popping up. Is it stress? Is it fear? Is it nervous? Is it dread? I dread being around Aunt Sally and Uncle Jim, or
Okay.
too many kids around, or whatever the case. We all have experienced different stressors at the holidays.
Mm-hmm.
So, when that stuff happens, or the cookie platters that come out, before you go, it's always best to prepare before you go. Even though I know there's going to be a ton of cookies, I'm going to try my best. And my best is good enough.
Oh, that's
to
beautiful.
avoid the cookies,
best-
my best is good enough.
So, Janet, when you're talking about, and you're at dinner and you're squeezing your fingers underneath the table, are you doing any mental tapping on your head and face and below collarbone, or are you just sticking with squeezing the fingers?
Well, normally when I'm doing it, I'm usually just squeezing or tapping my fingertips. I might tap them lightly.
Mm-hmm.
I personally don't visualize tapping the points on my body, but you can do that. You don't even have to do this. You can visualize, because, a lot of this is with intention.
Yes.
It's like everything energy. It's with whatever intention we put into it. So you can, if your fingers are not available, if somebody's always looking at you, or you're not at a table where you can go underneath the tablecloth and tap or squeeze, you can, yeah, absolutely. You can visualize, oh my God, okay, tap on the top of my head, my eyebrow points, side of my eyes. You can visually see yourself or somebody else tapping on you while you're thinking about whatever's causing the stress or the craving, or, oh my God, so-and-so is driving me crazy, I'm going to go get another drink.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
You can visualize, because again, it's all with intention. Yeah.
So if you'd like to go ahead and squeeze your fingertips, wonderful. If you don't want to, set the intention that you're doing it and feel the stress, the emotion of whatever is going on. Mm-hmm. Because you might be pleasantly surprised at the results.
Absolutely. It's like you're going to feel so good, and when you get to know this tool on how effective and how powerful it is
yes.
to get us through anything in our life, not just weight loss, not just the food cravings, and not just stress, anything in our lives. It can get us, we can just keep moving forward in our lives to release all the fears that we have about the future. And
what I tell folks is, you'll never know unless you try it. If you don't try it, you won't know at all. If you try it, you might be pleasantly surprised at how helpful it can be.
Oh my gosh, it's the best thing.
I know.
I wouldn't be doing this interview without EFT, trust me.
Well, you're doing a fantastic job.
Oh, thanks. But trust me, 3 to 5 years ago, there'd be no way I'd be doing this.
Oh, see.
I would not have that website, and I would not.
Well, keep tapping, because the world needs you, Janet.
Thanks. And you know what? It's just so much fun, though, to share this information with everybody.
Yes.
Because I just wish somebody would have shared it with me 20 years ago.
Well, now you know, and now you're helping other women. You're helping women. With their issues. Oh, all of it.
Yeah.
It's fantastic. So I'm going to take a moment, ladies and gentlemen. Obviously, contact Janet if you have any questions about her program, because see how amazing she is. She's so compassionate and knowledgeable. And if you want to work with me, I'm going to share my screen in just a moment here so everybody can. My website's a whole lot busier, but okay, so this is my screen, my website, joankaler.com, very simply. And yes, I've done a lot of media. And yes, I do have a class coming up for trichotillomania and dermatillomania. If you want to have an interest in that, if you want to sign up, please. Here's my explanation with my mountain behind me, the video I did. And I consult around the world. If you're in Pennsylvania, then we might be able to use your insurance if it's a Blue Cross Blue Shield plan or UPMC. If you're not in Pennsylvania, then it's a consultation, and I'd be very happy to talk with you about that. So joankaler.com if you have any questions for me. I've been tapping since 1993, so I tap in my sleep. But Janet, I want to thank you so much for being on these podcasts, 3 podcasts, ladies and gentlemen. If you're tuning into number 3 and you haven't listened to number 1 and 2 with Janet, go back and listen because she has gems to share in each podcast that you need to hear. Janet, thank you so much for being on my podcast today.
Thank you so much for inviting me.
Oh, my pleasure. My pleasure. So I'm going to thank everybody who's listening and watching. And remember, there are no limits to what you can achieve. Thank you all so much out there. Please subscribe to my podcast, leave a rating in iTunes. And I am so grateful for you tuning in. Thank you, everyone.